But overall, if I can just pick one of these shoes, I prefer... Okay, so shoe comparison I've got for you guys today. I have got the original NIKE Alphafly 1 up against the brand new Alphafly 3. So we're going to talk about the differences, their similarities, their key features and performance. And hopefully that is going to give you guys an indication of if you think the 3 is a worthy upgrade of the 1, or are you just going to hold tight and stick to the version 1. But before we get into it, now's a great time. If you do want to support the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Right, so some quick specs there up on your screen, and what is good about that is that the version 3 hasn't gone up in price, where it hasn't in Australia. It's still $370. I do know that it has gone up $10 in the US. Weight wise, we've got a lighter package here in the V3 over the V1. I know in my size, I'll put up on the screen there, mine actually only comes in at 7 ounces, so 199 grams, and I'm getting 7.3 ounces for my version of the 1. I know Nike advertise on their website that this is 7.7 ounces in a men's size 9. I think that's much heavier than what the shoe actually is. Stack height's very similar stacks here, 40 millimeters in the rear, 39 I've seen for this one in the rear, but I think it's 40 as well. The difference here between these two shoes is the drop. So 8 millimeter drop in the V3 and a 4 millimeter drop in the V1. When you stand in these shoes side by side, they pretty much feel like that they're the same stack height. And in our uppers here, they're both using AtomNet, but this is AtomNet 1.0 and this is 3.0. But essentially, they are very, very similar. It both looks like fishing line or fishing net or something, so you can see straight through it. The breathability is absolutely excellent using this AtomNet. So it's probably a little lighter and a little bit more flexible on the V1 than what it is in the V3. Both uppers are booty designed, so they've both got incorporated tongues within the shoe, both flexible knit, as you can see, and they both feel about the same. They both have got of a more structured heel, so that AtomNet turns into quite a thicker material around the heel. But like heel counters are pretty much similar, so same sort of structure. Now padding wise, in the V1 they've just got that internal heel pad that looks like it's just been sewn on. Now what they do with the padding in the V3, it's actually incorporated into the shoe more. It feels like the padding is pretty much in the same spot, but it's just not a bit of a pad that looks like it's just been sewn in. It's more incorporated into the heel. Heel flares in both shoes are pretty similar, and heel tabs in both shoes pretty similar. Now in the toe box is what I need to mention. A big change from the V3 is in the V1 they had this big toe cap here, so this very structured toe cap, and I know that had given me irritation in some races before. My top toenail would catch on that one in the races, and now they've got rid of that in the V3, so it's actually quite flexible there through the toe box, and that is a great addition, well, especially for me anyway. Right, the lacing systems are pretty similar, however they've just changed what they've done with the eyelets. The shoelaces are exactly the same. It's quite challenging to get your foot in the V1, and it's far easier to get your foot in the V3. Now lockdown, so the lockdown in the V3 is absolutely excellent. And in the V1 it's fine, it's okay, but a big difference is here is I think it's a bit more roomy in the toe box in the V1. Fit for both though is true to size, however this upper actually fits me like a glove, so it feels like it's been custom made for me. This shoe is the best fitting shoe that I've pretty much ever put on. Well, it is for racing shoes. And in the Alphafly, it feels just a bit loose and a bit too big in the toe box area, so your toes can flap around a little bit, but you don't get any of that in the version 3. But overall in our uppers, two pretty similar uppers, however the 3 is definitely more refined. The fit is much better, so I'm going to give the win there in the upper to the V3. And in our midsoles here, both using ZoomX, so that is their premium race day foam. They've both got a carbon plate, so they call it their fly plate, that gives the shoe some rigidity, and then under that they've also got another layer of ZoomX. They've got their air pod units, or their air zoom units. Both of those are in the forefoot of the shoe there, as you can see, and that's what the Alphafly is sort of famous for. And in geometry wise, they've both got forefoot rockers. So the rocker in the V3 actually is a little more gentle, but it starts further back on the foot, where the rocker on the V1 is actually quite late, so it's right up towards the front of the shoe. Now, stiffness wise, so the V3 is an incredibly stiff shoe, and yeah, there's a remarkable difference between the stiffness of the V1 and the V3. And with our air zoom units, they look to be pretty much in the same spot, but what you can see there is in the V3, they've actually incorporated the air zoom units within that bottom section of the midsole. So it's all sort of captured in the one piece, whereas it's very segmented on the one. So the air zoom units sort of sit different to the rest of the midsole. But so in our outsoles here, so similar things going on. So they've both got rubber that covers the entire forefoot. They've just got different tread patterns. So they've got a bit of a waffle pattern on here on the 3, and on the 1 they've got like some ribbing. Haven't had any grip dramas with either of these shoes, so they've both been pretty good. And down towards the end of the shoe, they've both got rubber on the high wear areas, and then they've got plenty of exposed foam. Both have exposed carbon plates, as you can see through there. But both these outsoles do a great job, both grippy, both pretty durable, especially for racing shoes. So, and in our rides here, they're both extremely bouncy. So probably the bounciest shoe on the market. They're both responsive and they're both nice and soft, so especially through that ZoomX through the rear of the shoe. But where they are different, so the feedback that you're gonna get in the V1, well, this is for me, my experience. So you've got the sweet spot in this shoe is actually smaller, so you need to hit right on those pods. And the pods, because they've got no foam underneath the pods here, the pods actually feel more aggressive, so you feel more of a bounce. Now, what I feel in this shoe is when I bounce on this shoe, I bounce more up more than forward, because I think that the rocker is a little bit too far forward to really work with the pods for my foot strike. So I feel like lots of bounce, but I go up. But for me, that makes it great for marathon racing, because I don't really want to get right up on the toes. I just want to hit those pods at that marathon pace. So this one is great for marathon pace, helps me lock into that. But you get quite an aggressive pop in this one. Through the middle of the shoe, you can actually feel its segments. So when you start getting nice and tired in the marathon, your form starts breaking down. You can actually feel the segment. So when you start landing on the rear of the shoe, it's actually quite, you'll miss the sweet spot of the shoe. So you can start landing on the ZoomX and you can't hit that really nice sweet spot on the ZoomX because the foam is breaking down. And how that differs in the V3, so what you've got is, what they've done is they've moved the rocker, so it's not as aggressive, they've moved the rocker back. So for me, it complements where these pods are. So instead of the pods giving me bounce up ways, it feels like the pods work with the rocker and create more forward propulsion for me than what they do in this shoe. So this shoe makes me bounce higher. This shoe makes me bounce forward. So this shoe is more propulsive for me, and that's why I can get to faster paces on this shoe. So this shoe, can definitely go, it feels a lot more comfortable, faster than marathon pace, as well as marathon pace. Whereas this one for me, not so versatile, it's just really happy at that marathon pace. And what's also to note in this shoe, because of how they've incorporated in this midsole, it's easy to get on the pod. So the sweet spot in this shoe is far greater than what it is in this shoe. So I guess it's like a pro tennis player. When they use their rackets, they've got probably really small sweet spots on their racket, but they can hit it every single time. Whereas not so good tennis players, they've got rackets with larger sweet spots, so they don't have to hit the dead center of the racket every time. Right, just to wrap it all up, both these are absolutely excellent marathon racing shoes, pretty much the best on the market. So I think the V3 has got all the great things the V1 does, but it just feels more refined, so they've just tweaked it. So the difference between the fit and the uppers is just day and night. So this shoe is absolutely amazing fit. Your foot just doesn't move once you're in there, and you are just ready to go. You feel locked in. Whereas the fit on this one, it's okay, but especially in the toe box there, you know, your toe can butt up against all this reinforcement on the toe cap. So I didn't like that about the Alphafly 3. The sweet spot, we've got a larger sweet spot in this shoe, so more of a runner-friendly shoe, more forward propulsion. This one's probably designed for certain types of runners that can hit that smaller sweet spot every single time and like that late rocker. But overall, if I can just pick one of these shoes, I prefer the V3, and it's primarily got to do with how good that upper fits and also how good that the air zoom units with that new rocker. So it's just more versatile for me. It's definitely a more comfortable shoe. So yeah, the comfort of this shoe compared to that shoe, that is where the big difference is. But yeah, not as aggressive pop. Remember, this is popping you up for me, not so much forward. This one, not so much pop up, but more pop forward. Right, so that's it from me, guys. Really looking forward to hearing your comments about these two shoes. I know the Alphafly one has got a huge following, me included. Absolutely love this shoe. The GOAT. Well, not anymore. I think this one is now the GOAT. So drop your questions in the comments below. Yeah, really interested to hear your thoughts there. Anyway, guys, that's it from me. Make sure you give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.